The Raiders come away one batted ball away from a victory versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll talk about that, plus a lot more on Monday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast for November 3rd, 2025.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome in, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. Definitely appreciate you. If you're catching the show wherever you find your favorite podcast and you're checking us out by way of the YouTube page, you know we appreciate both. The show grows each and every day because of your support and the great job that my man Ari does behind the scenes, making sure we look good and sound good each and every day. So we shout him out. We appreciate him. He's on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can hit me up as well at your boy Q254. And we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line for you, 707-654-4693. Before we get into anything, I do want to give a big shout out to Raider Nation. A lot of you that were at Allegiant Stadium that I got to shake your hand and talk with and chop it up a little bit before the game on Sunday. Also, guys that are in and around town, OGs like Raider Mike in Colorado, my man Raider Al in Georgia, just to name a few. My man Brother Marquise in the 305 rep Miami, like everyone who came out to represent the good doc. Shout out to all you, man. It's really cool to be able to see Raider Nation and hang out with you, whether it's before the game, during the game, whatever the case may be. So shout out to you, and really do appreciate all the love for the show. And I always hear how much, you listen to the show, and it's the first listen of the day, and it really means a lot. So definitely appreciate that. Coming up on the show today, we'll hear from you. As a matter of fact, your calls and texts will close out the show, 707-654-4693. Trust and believe, plenty of emotions and plenty of thoughts when it comes to the Raiders' most recent loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 30-29 in overtime. So we'll talk about that. Or you'll hear from your calls and texts will be in segment number 3. Segment number 2, we'll talk about where this team is right now. Once we saw what they were able to do on Sunday, what does this team need moving forward under head coach Pete Carroll? We'll break that down and talk about that. Segment number 2. Here in segment number 1, just game flow. Really talk about how, kind of look at the numbers side of things when it comes to the game and what the Raiders did well and what they didn't do well. We'll jump into that after I tell you about the title sponsor of the show, which is FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So, off top, the Raiders lose 30-29. They dropped to 2-6 overall. The game went to overtime, and there was a decision that had to be made once Geno Smith had a touchdown pass in the back of the end zone to Brock Bowers. Okay, what are you going to do now? Are you going to kick an extra point, tie the game with only a handful of seconds left in overtime, or are you going to go for the win? Well, you're going to go for the win 99.9% of the time. And if he had not gone for the win, it would have been all bad, right? So, again, I say 99.9 because I don't want to say anything is 100% of the time, but you had to go for the win there. So I was very happy that Pete Carroll chose to go for the win. The play that they drew up actually was open. Geno Smith just wasn't able to get to Tyler Lockett, and really Jacoby Myers was open. There was about 3 guys that I thought were open, but it was a really good play, I thought, by the Jacksonville defense to bat the ball down at the line of scrimmage and never give the Raiders an opportunity. But the Raiders really started to come on late in the game. They didn't play a complete game when it came to scoring. Too many times they got into the red zone, had to settle for field goals as opposed to touchdowns, and even missed an extra point from Daniel Carlson, so you know how that goes. But on the day, Geno Smith, 29 for 39, 284 yards, 4 touchdowns and an interception. He was sacked twice. He had a rating of 117.9. Now, that interception to start the second half was not a good one. That was one of those why Genos, the one where you hit yourself in the head and say, why, Geno, why? You can't do that. But for the most part, he was pretty much on point throughout the course of the game. Brock Bowers returned to action, and you could tell the difference between offense that does not have Brock Bowers out there, offense that doesn't have Brock Bowers out there just about 100% healthy, and even Jacoby Myers as well. It looked a lot better on Sunday. Brock Bowers had 12 catches for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns, and it was all kind of different little nuggets that came out about Brock Bowers from Raiders PR and even the NFL in general following that game. But just one of them, Brock Bowers becomes the 3rd tight end in Raider history and the first since 1983, Todd Christensen, to record 3 receiving touchdowns in a single game. And think about it, the Raiders have had some pretty stinking good tight ends in the history of their team. Just to know that he's the 3rd tight end in Raider history and the first since 83, Todd Christensen to record 3 receiving touchdowns in a game, that is a lot. And like I said, that wasn't the only little nugget, but I don't have time. I could take up the whole segment talking about the addition of Brock Bowers back to the Raiders offense. Ashton Jeanty, remember I said I wanted to see a commitment to the run game? Still not quite where I wanted it to be, but he had 13 carries for 42 yards. He also had 5 catches for 47 yards and a touchdown, so 18 total touchdowns. But he really needs to be up there closer to 25. And still don't like the fact that he was ripping off some nice runs early in the game. He had a couple, the first 2 runs were for 17 total yards, but you just never saw him get the ball consistently. It's like, okay, hey, this is working. Let's go away from him, right? He picks up the 17 yards on the first drive, the first 2 plays. And it's like, all right, let's throw the ball 3 times, and then they punt. It's just the rhyme or reason still wasn't quite there. There was a couple nuggets about Ashton Jeanty, though, as he had another receiving touchdown, and he's doing a really good job at pass catching and getting into the end zone as well. This one came from Raiders PR. Ashton Jeanty now has 3 receiving touchdowns his rookie year, joining Marcus Allen, Glenn Milburn, and R.J. Harvey as the only rookie running backs in NFL history to record at least 3 receiving touchdowns in their first 8 career games, passing 56 other running backs. So, again, just one of the many nuggets that came out of the game about Ashton Jeanty. Still don't think that he's getting enough burn. Still think that the Raiders should be feeding him more, but it is what it is, right? I just having Brock Bowers back, obviously him having a heavy workload, 12 catches, 127 yards, that's fantastic. There's only 1 ball, but would like to see Ashton get still more involved in the running game, and the Raiders, again, showing a bigger commitment to the running game, because as soon as they start to do that, I feel like the passing game really opens up for Brock Bowers and everyone else involved. Raheem Mostert, let's shout him out, right? Kick returns, 5 kick returns on the day for 202 total yards. If you're doing the math, that's 40.4 yards average, and his long was 54. And anyone who's been listening to this show for a while knows that I've been dying for the Raiders to have a kick return touchdown, right? They haven't done it since Jacoby Ford, and it's funny, Jacoby Ford was in the building on Sunday, and Raheem, I thought, was going to break one. I said, oh, man, here it is. This is the moment that's going to happen, right? Raheem's going to take it to the house because it just looked like he just had an extra burst. And, this is a guy who's a veteran in the league. It's not like he's, brand new and some young guy. He's a veteran on kick return and averaged 40.4 yards. So, yes, feed him the ball more often when it comes to the kick returns, because at that kind of a clip, he's going to take one to the house. He's going to break one sooner rather than later. As I mentioned, Daniel Carlson missed an extra point, and you could tell by the score of the game, 30-29. Well, that's how these kind of things happen. If he hasn't missed that extra point, when they got that touchdown at the end, instead of going for 2, they kick another extra point, and they win the game. And immediately when he missed that extra point, I looked over at Jesse Merrick, who's sitting next to me in the press box. I said, that's going to come back to haunt him. It's going to come back to haunt him. It always does. You cannot, especially if you're a team that's not very good and you're trying to find a way to win games, you can't leave those kind of points out there. You just can't. You have to be right. Some teams that are really good teams, they can overcome that. All right, they made a mistake, but they'll find a way to overcome it. The Raiders aren't there yet. So that was a huge miss by Daniel Carlson. The Raiders, they ran 60 plays offensively. The Jags ran 77, and they had 42 carries for 151 total yards. Remember when we did the crossover edition, Tony Wiggins, he said, hey, they want to get back to running the ball. Remember we talked about it on Friday's show when it came to keys to victory. I said they're going to want to try to run the ball. They're going to try to show a commitment. Liam Cohen said, hey, we haven't ran the rock very well in the last 2 games that we played. And he said he didn't call it very well. Well, they ran the ball 42 times for 151 yards. And unfortunately, I've been saying that that's the strength of the Raiders defense is stopping the run. They weren't able to do that, especially late in the game. They were getting hit and gashed for some big-time yardage. So, unfortunately for the Raiders, they just weren't able to do enough. The Jaguars scored 17 in the 4th and 7 in overtime. The Raiders scored 14 in the 4th and only 6 in overtime. So, they just came up a little bit short. And one other little nugget that stopped the Raiders from winning this game on Sunday, Cam Little, the Jags kicker, 68-yard kick, drilled the field goal right before halftime. That's an NFL record. That came right after Daniel Carlson missed an extra point. So Carlson makes his extra point. The Raiders defense doesn't allow him to get in that kind of range to kick a 68-yarder. Now, he earned it. It was 68 yards. But with that being said, they don't let him get in range to kick that field goal. They don't win. They don't lose that game. And then we're talking about a whole different scenario at this stage of the game. But again, it is what it is. You got to give him credit, tip the cap. He's a really good field goal kicker. He showed you in the preseason when he kicked, 70 yards? That one was 68 and probably could have been from 70 as hard as he kicked that one. One more final nugget here for segment number 1 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast before we get into the overall thoughts on this team and where they are after 8 games so far in this season and obviously year 1 with Pete Carroll. This is a tweet that Max Crosby put out immediately following the loss. Raider Nation, I love y'all with everything in my heart and soul. Y'all deserve better. Stay one. It will change. So after the game, we had an opportunity to catch up with multiple players in the locker room, including Max Crosby, and he was asked about that tweet and why it was so important that he put it out as soon as the game was over.
personally, like I just have a special connection, with the fan base. I've been here for 7 years now, and it's just, they've been through it just like I've been through it, and a lot of people, have been here for the long haul. AJ, Colton, Daniel, like, we pour everything into this, and it's shitty because you want, just the kid in me, being a fan, growing up, like, it's all I cared about. It's all my whole life, like, watched every single game on Sundays and made my dad drive me to Buffalo Wild Wings every Sunday to watch the games, and legitimately, like, screaming, forcing him to take me to go to watch the games. But, like, I know everybody takes, everyone puts their time and effort to come and watch us play and spend their hard-earned money to get tickets to come and watch us play and take every Sunday to watch us, perform and falling short, time and time again is just, I feel for them. And, it sucks because I'm going to just continue giving everything I got until I can't anymore. And whenever that day is, we'll see. But, I just feel for him. You know what I mean? It sucks.
So I thought that was really cool what Max had to say, especially about Raider Nation spending their hard-earned money to go to the games and be entertained, and, how Raider Nation is always there through thick and thin and, has not been rewarded enough, and just kind of putting himself in the shoes of the fan base. I thought that was really cool. That showed a lot of humility, that he understands what it is, and we always talk about home field advantage. I'll tell you what, the Jaguars, they had some fans there, but, for the fans that were there were still a lot of empty seats there at Allegiant Stadium. But for the fans that were there, they were loud and proud. So I got to tip the cap to Raider Nation, and I really thought that was cool for Max Crosby to go ahead and put that tweet and then have that explanation of why he put that out as well. Coming up in segment number 2, overall thoughts on this team as they're sitting there at 2-6. Who do they have? What do they have? And what do they need, more importantly? We'll talk about that in segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs. With features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance, you can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go, while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So, let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. You need parts for a fast project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. And their Trade Master perks, like priority shipping and dedicated support, make the whole process smooth. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5. That's SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. Supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Raiders take a tough one on the chin, take a loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're now 2-6 on the season, first year under head coach Pete Carroll. And, of course, everyone's looking for answers. I've been saying that I think Chip Kelly's got a lot of pressure on him right now. I think he's got a lot of attention. He's got to show that him and Pete Carroll are on the same page and that he can use the weapons that this team has and really build a really good offense. And it hasn't quite got there yet. Now, it looked better on Sunday. Don't get me wrong, especially with Brock Bowers. You see what this team is with the healthy Brock Bowers, the healthy Jacoby Myers, obviously Ashton Genty in the mix. You see what it can be. But that's who they have, and that's who they need to feature, Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. As I said in segment number 1, those guys, especially Genty, needs to get more attention. He needs to get more carries. He needs to get more touches. When he has the ball in his hands, surprising, good things happen. When Brock Bowers has the ball in his hand, surprising, good things happen. So feed that more often. The play calling needs to be better, needs to be more consistent. The Raiders need to have another blue chip offensive lineman. They just absolutely do. They need to find their absolute stud. They need to try to build a bully up front. You know what they want to do. You know that they want to try to run the ball. You know that they have some weapons, but they've got to be able to build a bully on that offensive line. Colton Miller is getting a little older in the tooth, right? I mean, of course, he's on IR right now. When he comes back, that'll be great. They just extended him. That's fine. But I think that there could be plenty of wholesale changes along that offensive line and make it better. I think we would all agree on that. Outside of Colton Miller, JPJ is currently your best offensive lineman, and it seems like that they're not really, they're not all on the same page with JPJ, and I'll just leave it alone at that. We've talked about him in nauseum, right? So we're not going to go and do more on that. But the Raiders' offensive line, they need some work. So they need a blue chip guy, one of those guys that they can say, yep, that's our dude. That's our identity on that offensive line. Like Lincoln Kennedy was the identity for the Raiders offensive line. Like Steve Wisniewski was part of the identity of the Raiders offensive line. Like back, when the Raiders had Donald Penn and Kelechi Osemele and Rodney Hudson, like you can identify guys and you're like, yep, go as those dudes go. The Raiders need to have that. They don't have that right now. They don't have that mean and nasty. And really the guy that they have that I think all of us believe is a really good offensive lineman, just hasn't played super consistent, is JPJ. Defensively, they need to find a way to generate more pressure. They really do. Patrick Graham's defense is all based on generating pressure, and right now they have Max Crosby that does everything he can to try to get to the quarterback, and even as he said after the game in the locker room, he was knocking off some rust early in the game, so he wasn't at his best. He did end up with a sack in the game, but he didn't, pop as much as he would like to. I mean, he said he needs to do better. But the Raiders really do need, and we've talked about this for a long time, they need another guy. They need a dude that's right across from Max Crosby, and they've tried to get guys, right? They've tried to bring dudes in, whether that's, who they have. Chandler Jones, they brought him in. They drafted Tyree Wilson. They had Malcolm Kuntz, right? There's guys that they've tried to bring in, and it just has not worked out. They need to have someone else that they can look at and say that's going to be their guy. Obviously, they went and got Christian Wilkins for that defensive tackle position, and we know how that all played out. But they need to do that. Second down and third down. Second down was something that I emphasized on Friday, right? When we're talking about keys to victory, they got to do better on second down. They still didn't do better on second down. There was a lot of times where it was third and short. And then even when it was third and long, they still gave up the third and longs, right? Second and third down basically were problems on Sunday, right? They gave up way too many explosive plays. They don't have enough blue chip players on the defensive side of things. Reality is this team is pretty far away from being where they need to be, right? They've got, three guys for sure that they could build around, right? Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, and they've got Max Crosby, right? And if JPJ is going to be there for the long haul, cool. I'll add him into the mix as well. Right. But again, with so much uncertainty around him, you just don't know. But that's really all they have. They need a big time cornerback, or two. Right. They just don't have the stickiness in the secondary. They don't have that coverage. Isaiah Polamau, he did come away with the interception in the end zone, which was huge. Was able to pick off Trevor Lawrence. I don't know who Trevor Lawrence was throwing the ball to, and that was great. But they just don't create takeaways that much. But they need to find a guy who's a blue chip in the secondary. They need another blue chip along the defensive line. They need a linebacker as well, right? I mean, I like Elandon Roberts a lot. I like Devin White. I like Jamal Adams. But those guys really come downhill, and they're really good at stopping the run. And you saw what happened against Jacksonville. You saw them kind of find the holes in that soft zone, find the holes, and you saw guys like E-Rob trying to go sideline to sideline and stop the ball carrier. But it's just tough, right? I mean, it just seems like that they weren't really playing to their strength. So, and then, of course, the run game was really going well for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Raiders, just as much as, we talked about 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins, they're just not there yet. The reality is they're just not. There's a big talent gap between them and the top of the AFC West, or I should just say the rest of the teams in the AFC West. They've got to find a way to get that. Obviously, the trade deadline's coming up, tomorrow. We'll see if there's any guys that are moved out so they can get some more draft capital, but they've got to do everything that they can to hit on their draft picks. And at some point, and I don't know if it's going to be, probably won't be this week on a short week going up against Denver, at some point, the guys that were drafted this year, you have to find out what you have in them. At some point, you just have to chalk it up. And I know Pete wants to win right now, but I think Pete has to understand the reality is this team is not where it is. It's not good enough, right, just to get it done. They don't have enough blue chip players, right? And these teams, what they're doing is they're doubling and triple teaming Max Crosby because they know that they're not afraid of nobody else, right? And then the Raiders don't commit to the run enough, so they're not even worried about stacking the box and trying to slow down Ashton Genty because they're like, well, they're not going to give it to him consistently anyway. So that's where the play calling comes in. It could be a matter of, that you can look at Chip Kelly, you can look at Patrick Graham and say, hey, these guys probably have a lot to prove these last, 9 games that they have left in the regular season, right? I mean, again, I've said it before, everyone is under a microscope. But to get this thing turned around and get it where it needs to be and get it where Mark Davis, where Pete Carroll, where John Spytek, where Raider Nation wants his team to be, they need a lot, right? So, I talked about it. Obviously, the other thing is a franchise quarterback, right? I mean, Geno Smith is a decent Band-Aid right now, but that's what he is a Band-Aid. Will he be back next year? Who knows, right? But they have to find a way to go get their franchise quarterback. If they find one early in the draft next year and they like him a lot and they think that he could be their guy that they could build around, by all means, go get him. If not, don't just go get a guy in the first round just to say you got a first-round quarterback, unless you truly believe in him and think he's going to be that guy. Because I think that you might have to go, if this draft doesn't shake out the way that a lot of people think it's going to shake out when it comes to the quarterback, because remember, it was hyped up to be this big-time, draft for quarterbacks. If you need a quarterback, this is the draft to get one. I don't see it that way. I see a lot of good. I don't see a lot of great. And I wouldn't have no problem if the Raiders went out. I mentioned Proctor, Kalen Proctor from Alabama. I wouldn't mind if they went and got the best offensive tackle available to them when they draft in the first round coming up in 2026, just to start to build that bully up front. But again, if their quarterback's there, then by all means, go get them. It's just depending on, are they going to find the guy that they want? But they're probably, realistically, Raider Nation, probably about 2 draft classes away from really being the team, not competitive, but being a really good team where they can challenge these other teams talent-wise, on the field, everything in the AFC West. I think that's just being reality. I think just looking at it and seeing a healthy Brock, seeing Genty being back there, right, you can see what shines and what doesn't shine. And I really think that the Raiders are probably a couple drafts away from really realistically being the team that they want to be. But what's on your mind? Your calls and texts will close out the show. 707-654-4693. We'll hear from you next. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about another great sponsor we have here on the show, and that's FanDuel. The NBA is back. You know that. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Here we go, Raider Nation. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts straight off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. Got to give a big shout out to all those Dodger fans out there. The Fall Classic was fantastic between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. I'm glad I didn't have any dog in the fight because I wasn't sitting on the edge of my seat sweating, but I was sitting on the edge of my seat sweating just because it was exciting, just great action and drama. And I know there's a lot of Dodger fans that are Raider fans as well, so just wanted to shout you out. And it's funny, at Allegiant Stadium on Sunday, there were so many Raider fans that showed up with their Raider jersey on and their Dodger hat, or their Raider hat and Dodger jersey, whatever the case may be. They're like, man, maybe we could bring some of this Dodger good juju to the game, and it rubs off on the Raiders. So definitely want to shout out to all the Dodger fans out there who I know is celebrating. I can't tell how many people I said congratulations to on Sunday, and man, that was a hell of a series. That was very entertaining. So shout out to you. Now let's go ahead and get into the first text. This one comes from Raider Dan from Live Oak. What's up, Q? What's up, Ari? I always want the Raiders to win. I don't believe in tanking, but at the end of the day, it's just a game, and I'll take the entertaining game. Bowers is a beast. That's from Raider Dan in Live Oak, and it was a very entertaining game, especially in the second half, right? It's the fourth quarter when all the scoring happened back and forth, and then it took overtime. It was very exciting. Unfortunately for the Raiders, they came out on the wrong end of things, but as my guy Vegas Jess hit me up, he's like, hey, man, I'm proud of the dudes. They balled out. So can't get mad at that. Again, would have liked to seen them complete that pass in the back of the end zone to Tyler Lockett, newly signed Tyler Lockett. That would have been cool, but it just didn't happen, and so the Raiders came up with a tough L. But thanks for the text. I do appreciate you. Up next, got a call from Raider Tyrone from Clarksville, Tennessee. You better call Tyrone. He's calling to talk about the game, a losing game, the range of emotions, and has a few questions that he want to ask. Here's Raider Tyrone from Clarksville, Tennessee.
Oh my gosh. Well, what's going on, Q? Hey, Ari. Hey. Oh my God, my heart. I don't even know why I got my hopes up. Good game, but you know what? Hey, we still lost. That's the bottom line. That's where we got to look at it. Bump this half glass full thing. And we looked a little bit better, but we still found a way to lose. And why? Why does Pete Carroll and Brennan Carroll keep marching out Alex Kappa on the offensive line, bringing him in overtime? You see how he got blasted into the back? And also DJ Glaze, oh, you ain't getting away either. You. Wow. We still have a need for a right tackle. I just don't understand it. We could have adjusted that, but instead of having Rogers or Grant over there as extra linemen, no, you want to bring back out Alex Kappa. And we've all seen what happens to him, and he got truly embarrassed by number 90. But, I don't know, man. I don't even know. I'm not going to sit here and clap my hands for a competitive game because in the end, we lost again. We're just a very badly coached football team. Players out of position, traded away players that really could have helped us out on defense, let players walk that could have helped us out on defense, and we just keep bringing in these guys that are over the hill that Pete Carroll wants because he still thinks we're in the beginning like 2010. It's 2025. We need to wake up. PG, sorry, but this is on you too. You got to go. We need some fresh blood in that coaching staff. We need people that are going to get out there, scheme well, put some pressure on quarterbacks because we let Trevor Lawrence sit back there and just pick us apart. Anyways, I just wanted to rant and vent. Sorry, Q. This is Raider Tyrone from Clarksville, Tennessee. Hey, also, hopefully Jacoby Myers gets out of here. Hey, he's able to jump ship and we get something good for him. Just a couple days left. Hopefully he gets out of here because I know he doesn't want to be part of this horrible rebuild. Take it easy. One love, nation. Hey, I'm still a fan. It's just now I guess I will start walking around with the bag over my head anytime I got to wear one of my Raiders jerseys. And I got a few of them. All right. Later, Q.
Tyrone, appreciate the call, my man. And, as I told Max Crosby, like, you're not looking for moral victories. There's no things of moral victories, but you do respect the fight. The fact that they had a chance to win it in the end when, it felt like things just weren't going their way early in the game, weren't able to capitalize in the red zone, had to settle for field goals, got all the way to the 1 yard line, ended up having to kick a field goal, because they got pushed back to the 6. That's the one thing I can say. As much as I want them to dedicate and commit to the run game, their short yardage has got to be better. Their short yardage running game right now is bad. Lincoln points it out all the time, but it's really bad. When it's first and goal from the 1, I keep saying just give it to Genty 3 times. Like I'm sitting in the press box, just give it to Genty 3 times. But honestly, they're not getting anywhere. They're not getting it. They just don't have enough push to get 1 yard and get into the end zone. That's really a shame. They got to find a way to do that. They've got to, man, I know they ain't bringing Zach Crockett in anytime soon, but, man, sure does make you miss the days of Zach Crockett, doesn't it? Like you knew first and goal from the 1, Zach's going to get the ball 3 times or until he gets in the end zone. And so that's something that they definitely they definitely have to work on and get better. But thanks so much for the call. Definitely appreciate you. Up next, got a text from Ohio Raider from the 419. Q, what's good? Thanks for all that you do for the nation. Plain and simple, good teams win games, and we are not a good team. The Raiders have shown that they do not want to give Ashton Genty the ball like we all thought. Only 18 touches in the game for 89 yards. It's apparent that they want to spread it out and throw the ball. Our defense is not good. Here are some stats. Raiders had 16 missed tackles. They allowed 143 yards after the contact. Time of possession, Raiders 26-47, Jaguars 42-57. And we wonder why we lost the game, along with the breakdowns of special teams. Bowers is just darn good. Makes you wonder if he was healthy all year, because it appears that Geno trusts him more than any other receiver. That's Ohio Raider from the 409. Yeah, the thing about it is Brock Bowers is that guy, and it's such a difference when he's in there. We were talking to Jacoby Myers in the locker room afterwards, and he was asked by Adam Hill just about, do you ever just kind of trip out seeing some of the catches that Bowers makes? He's like, I try not to, but I get caught up in it every once in a while. Just sit back and watch, right? He's like, I don't think about it. I just have to watch sometime. I mean, it's pretty amazing what he's able to do. And, I mean, he makes a touchdown catch, his first one in the end zone, and they ruled it incomplete at first, and come to find out his backside hit the ground before he went out of bounds. One-handed catch, boom, great. Then he ran another one into the end zone, just on a nice little crossing pattern, a little slant. He gets the ball and he takes it to the house, and really the defender just about knocked that ball down before it got through to him, but he took it to the house, and you can see his speed is just different, man. Once he catches the ball and he's got a whole full head of steam, he's going. And then that third one, he gets in the back of the end zone, and unfortunately the Raiders couldn't come up with the 2-point conversion. But, yeah, man, he's just a different dude. And the defense is not good. It's not good where it needs to be. They have moments where they're good, like they start out the game really strong, a 3 and out, but you keep consistently putting them back on the field, and they have breakdowns, and they have plenty of breakdowns on Sunday. So thanks so much for the text. I do appreciate you. I got a call from Mr. Pigface. It's a quick one. He's calling with a lot of frustration in his voice, and he needs to get some of it off his chest. So here he is. Here's Mr. Pigface.
Hello, this is Mr. Pigface again. Patrick Graham is dog. His defense is dog. None of that works anymore. They find the soft spot and they work at it. Special teams is dog. We lost because of 1 point, right? I can't, dude. I've been a fan for so long. I don't think I can. This is insane how we lost today. At home again. We don't win at home? That's crazy. Patrick Graham needs to be fired. He's the one that needs to get fired. Get him the out of our fucking coward.
Thank you for the call, my man. Totally get the frustration. You can hear it. Defense was bad late in the game, fourth quarter overtime, but, you could call out the defense and say they're this, that, and the other, but you don't have to get personal with Patrick Graham. I mean, it is what it is. I get it. Again, everyone's frustrated, but at the end of the day, it's just a game. But like I said, I'm sure that you're not the only one who feels the way that you expressed it. So it is what it is. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of changes. I don't know where, but there's definitely got to be some changes made within this team. Personnel, coaching, both, whatever the case may be, there's definitely going to be some kind of changes on the way. But thanks for the call. Appreciate it. And we'll close out with a text from Raider Roscoe. Yo, Q, Raider Roscoe, tough loss for the nation. I will say we put up a good fight, but we're still lacking in some areas. Offensive line and defensive stops. Though Bowers was a sight to see and our run game wasn't as dismal as previous games, I will say our new weakness, which has not been said in over 25 years, is our kicking game. Extra point. If Carlson hadn't missed that extra point, we would have never been in overtime. Thanks for all that you do. Go Raiders. That's from Raider Roscoe. And look, the reality of it is Daniel Carlson's in the contract year, right? A.J. Cole got extended. Colton Miller got extended. Daniel Carlson has not got extended yet, and he has had some struggles, even going back to last year. So I think that they're going to make him prove it. And, him missing that extra point was big. He's not supposed to miss that extra point. I mean, it was so wild when he missed that extra point. To me, it's just like it's so automatic. I'm sitting here tweeting A.J. Cole missed it. I was like, wait, hold on. What am I doing? I'm tweeting A.J. Cole. Had me all discombobulated, man. I was all over the place. So just one of those things that you think that Carlson's going to be automatic, and even on his field goal attempts. And, when they're not, they show up in a major way, and that was big. And you're right. If he doesn't miss that extra point, they don't get to overtime because they win it at the end. And the whole conversation that we're having on today's show is different. But he missed. They lose. They're 2-6. Good teams find ways to win. Bad teams find ways to lose. That's the reality of it. But it is what it is. We'll talk to Pete Carroll later on this morning around 11 o'clock. We also have the Raider Squad Show with Chantel Chan and Lincoln Kennedy. Matter of fact, we'll be live here from Studio Q. Lincoln's in town, so he'll definitely be right here. And 7:30 to 8:30, 1 hour long, 1 hour strong. We'll do that this morning. So we'll be back tomorrow, of course, with plenty of conversation, news, and notes. And tomorrow's the trade deadline, so keep your head on a swivel because anything could pop between now and then. So until then, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.